name is John, and I'm just here to discuss movies on the YT. And if you'd like to join that discussion, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell as well. And in my opinion, the holiday season doesn't end until New Year's. And as it's New Year's Eve, the last day of the holiday season, I felt like sharing my ranking of every 2020 released holiday movie or Christmas movie / special that I watched. I watched 10 of them. And so I figured, let's rank all 10. It's an even number. And yeah, let's get started. And coming in last place at number 10 is Christmas Crossfire. I don't entirely know what prompted me to click on this movie. It's a Netflix original German language movie. It's not very well made. There's not really any development with the characters. It's basically this couple comes across this countryside mafia execution in the middle of the woods, and they kind of get mixed up in this small towns thing, which happens to be the hometown of the girl in the relationship. That being said, they literally met the day before this happened, and yet they act like they've been married for 7 years, and it just feels a little off. There's not any development, and they try to give way too many characters a storyline in this, and nothing ever comes together. It's just kind of a bunch of nonsense. It has a nice visual aesthetic, I'll give it that. And coming in at number 9 is NBC's Dr. Seuss's The Grinch Musical. I don't know what happened to these live musical specials that these networks used to do. A few years ago, they were doing Grease, The Wiz, Sound of Music, Hairspray, and they were pretty good. At least 3 of them were, in my opinion, really good. And I kind of looked forward to them, especially the Grease and Hairspray one, because those are 2 of my favorite musicals. And I actually think the Wiz special was better than the 80s Wiz movie. That being said, I can't really name any others that they did since those. But then I found this on Hulu, and I just thought it was a bizarre thing to do in the first place, because I don't remember the Grinch. I don't watch it every year, but I don't remember the Grinch being a musical. I know it has a couple of songs, like the You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and there's I believe Welcome Christmas or something. So it has a couple of songs, but I never remembered it as a musical. That being said, I'm more familiar with the Jim Carrey version than the animated version, and so if they were going to do a Christmas musical, I would have rather them tried to do an updated, slightly modernized version of White Christmas. That being said, the Grinch musical was terribly done. I didn't really like any of the performances, outside of Cindy Lou, which seems a little weird that the child actor gave the best performance. But Cindy Lou wasn't even used as much as I think she usually is in the other stories. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't watch these Grinch movies every year. And you don't get any of the classic Grinch visuals or anything like that in this. It goes through the typical Grinch storyline, but it adds a couple things so they can have more musical numbers. And there's things where they can't seem to make the appropriate visual aesthetic that you're used to with Grinch movies. And overall, I just thought it was terribly done. And coming in at number 8, I have Bugs Bunny's 24-Karat Holiday Special. Now, this is probably the one that I was the most disappointed in, because I love Bugs Bunny and I love the Looney Tunes. And this is just a compilation of small Looney Tunes segments. And most of the segments are pretty fine. I thought the first segment felt a little outdated, but it was still really good. It was kind of the second segment that really, really dropped this down for me. Because the rest of them, they're not necessarily very memorable, but they're pretty good Looney Tunes cartoons. But the second segment in this, it's the Taz segment, I had a lot of issues with. Mainly because there's one instance where it suggests that Taz just ate an entire group of children. because he chases them out of the side of the screen, and when he comes back, he has all their clothes in his mouth. I just thought that was an extremely dark thing, and I know Looney Tunes has some dark stuff in it, but that just seemed too much for me. Having Taz eat children, or at least making it seem like he did, that just really bugged me, and it dropped this way down for me. And coming in at number 7, I have a Netflix. There's about a 45-minute, I believe, claymation special, that being Alien Christmas. Now this just kind of has that classic aesthetic of like those old claymation cartoons like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and like the Miser Brothers Christmas and stuff like that. Oh, and Peter Cottontail, that's not Christmas, but I just threw that out there. So you do get like that nice classical look to it. That being said, it's about an alien race coming to Earth and stealing everything, and it's just the storyline itself, it actually feels extremely rushed. And then once you think it's over, all of a sudden this new big thing comes in, and I don't know, overall it's very heartwarming and endearing, and that's kind of why it's higher than like the Bugs Bunny one, because I don't think it makes any mistakes. It's made for young children, and all the mistakes it makes are things that might bug someone like me in their 20s. And so overall, I think it's pretty decent made, endearing Christmas movie about an alien that interacts with Santa Claus and elves. And coming in at number 6, I have The Christmas Chronicles Part 2. Now, if you watched my top 10 Christmas movies list, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the first movie, for some personal reasons in there as well. But overall, I just love the charisma Kurt Russell brings to the role, and he does bring that in this movie as well. It's just the storyline itself. It felt a little, I don't know, just too much for me. And I didn't like the Jack character that much either. And you kind of lose Teddy in here. And just overall, I just didn't think it was nearly as good as that first movie. But it did have some awesome moments, like the airport scene. And Kurt Russell gives a great performance like he did in the first one. And just is still probably my favorite Santa Claus portrayal. And then Goldie Hawn has great chemistry with Kurt Russell. That being said, her scenes that did not have Kurt Russell in them, I don't think were very well done. But overall, I did enjoy this movie, but it does only come in at number 6. And coming in at number 5 is Holiday. Now, this is kind of a rom-com that stars Emma Roberts, who's someone that I always kind of enjoy watching. And I think it's an enjoyable enough rom-com. It's not necessarily a Christmas movie. It is, but it isn't, because it goes through like all of the holidays throughout the entire year, basically. But I think it comes to a nice, kind of cheesy moment at the end, but it's still very nice. And I think one thing this movie does well to make it somewhat stand out is it has some kind of meta humor in it in terms of rom-coms, especially with like a couple jokes they make about Ryan Gosling. But overall, it does mostly just feel like a generic kind of straight-to-streaming rom-com to it that is kind of elevated by Emma Roberts. And coming in at number 4, I have the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Now, this is just a fun adventure, a fun Lego adventure with Star Wars characters. This is actually the first time I've ever seen Lego Star Wars anything. You know, I've never played the games. I've never seen any of the animated shorts or anything. But I thought this was a nice, fun little thing, especially for kids and Star Wars fans to enjoy. I had got a kick out of them going through the time-traveling portals and everything. I kind of loved that whole, like, where does the battle thing. But I also, that's kind of one of my issues, is it teases some, like, great battles in it, but it never shows them. You know, once everybody was, like, on Tatooine, like, everybody from, like, previous movies were on Tatooine and stuff. It teases, like, this awesome battle that you're going to watch, and then it doesn't let you actually watch a whole lot of it. And so there's things like that that kind of bugged me a little bit. But overall, that's just very nitpicky because this is just a fun holiday special, and I think Star Wars fans will really enjoy it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. And so kicking off the top three, I have Fat Man. This is a Mel Gibson, just kind of thriller flick with some action thrown in as well. And it has a very weird and odd tone because it has a very crazy premise, but takes itself seriously. But they find a way to make it work, in my opinion. You don't get like that George Clooney performance in Batman and Robin where he's taking it seriously when no one else is. You don't get any of that. And so you get like this nice tone and niche kind of tone to Fat Man, which I kind of enjoyed quite a bit for some reason. And you just get a nice, really good performance from Mel Gibson, a decent performance from Walton Goggins. Overall, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. But it's not necessarily a movie I'm going to revisit all that much. Coming in at number 2 is Happiest Season. This is a Hulu movie about a lesbian couple who go to one of their families for Christmas, but one of them isn't an out lesbian. And you get a nice rom-com feel to it as well. And I think it's very well executed, especially when you get towards the end and you get this big confrontation and stuff. But I think the problem is kind of the journey throughout, especially kind of in the middle section of the movie, I found fairly boring to watch. It's just kind of people doing holiday shopping and stuff. I just found it a little boring to watch. But you know, you get to the final confrontation and stuff, and it really elevates this because you can really feel the emotion in the performances of this movie. And so I do think it's a very well-made movie. It's not one I'm going to necessarily revisit a lot, but I do think it's really good and has some very good emotions towards the end, even if I did find the middle section a little boring. And coming in first place, by quite a bit actually, is Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey. This is a Netflix musical, actually, and I thought the trailer was terrible. But I heard good things, so I decided to check it out anyway, and I was blown away. Easily my biggest surprise of this year. I loved the musical numbers, and I even thought the acting was really good. You have Forrest Whitaker in the movie, Keegan-Michael Key, a bunch of others, and I thought the main little girl actress, the character's name was Journey, did a really good job in her role as well. And overall, I just loved this movie. The production design, the choreography, I loved all of it. The songs were pretty fun, and I just had a blast watching this movie. Like I said, it's my biggest surprise of the year as well. I will say there's a section of the movie where it feels like it abandons the musical tone and kind of becomes Spy Kids, and it felt a little off in there, even though I think it did a decent job with that premise. It felt like kind of somewhere in the middle, it switched from being a musical to being Spy Kids, and then after that whole climactic scene and stuff, it kind of becomes a musical again. But overall, like I said, it's still my biggest surprise of the year and my favorite Christmas movie that was released in 2020, and that is why it comes in at number 1. Thanks for watching this video. Go ahead and share your thoughts on any Christmas movies that you saw this year in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and this ranking, go ahead and smash that thumbs up icon, smash that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell as well. And I will return next time when I see you again. And Happy New Year's.